Let's look today at a statistical software called Minitab. This is a software package designed to be very, very easily interactive. It's a very powerful tool, and it can be used in the classroom, or it can be used as a primary tool for analyzing research data. Now, if you will go to your desktop, you'll see that we have a little icon. It's green here, and it says Minitab 17. Let's open that. When you get the program opened, you'll notice that it automatically opens two windows here. One is a session window, which is going to be your output. That's going to show you your graphs, or it's going to show you the data that you work with. It's going to show you the answer to whatever test you choose to run on your data. And then down here on the bottom, you're going to have your worksheet, and that's where you're actually going to put all of the data. Alright, I have prepared from a group of tests some data, and I've put it into a Word document. Now, these are test scores for a statistics class, and it's for let's see, this was test number 1 that we had in our class. Now, I believe that there are 42 test scores, and we want to take those test scores and put them into our Minitab worksheet. Now, here on our worksheet, we've got our columns that are labeled, and of course that's column 1, column 2, column 3, and then we have our different data values, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. And theirs are pretty big. You can put in loads and loads and loads of data. But as we look at our scores, I'm going to go ahead and copy, and then I'm going to go to my Minitab, and I'm going to put it here beside my number 1 in my column 1, and I'm going to paste this, and it puts in the first 11 scores. Back to my Word document. I'm going to copy and paste. Here I'm going to go to 12. Now, I could use this. I could go ahead and highlight and copy and paste all of these, but when I go to my Minitab worksheet, it tends to get them a little out of order, so I'm just going to do it column by column. Alright, last column. And yes, we do have 42 values here, so you'll notice that I have that populated from 1 to 42 with scores from our test. Now, on Minitab, you'll notice if you look across the top of it that it looks a lot like Microsoft Word. You have your file, and that's where you can go to start a new project or open a project. Now, you will also see things here about worksheets. So you can save a worksheet and go back to that, or you can have an entire project. Now, if you have the project, it's going to have not only your top data window, or excuse me, your output window, but it's also going to have your worksheet. So those are the two differences here. Now, as you come across, you have your edit, just like you do on Microsoft Word. You can clear cells, copy cells, cut and paste, just like I was doing from Microsoft Word to here, and you'll notice that was very user-friendly. It was very easy to go from Microsoft Word to Minitab. We've got our data, we've got our calc, stat, graph, and I'll go into those just a little bit in just more detail in just a minute. But as I go through and I see I have just a wonderful set of tools here that I can use, and they're very user-friendly, and they're a lot like what we use very, very often in Microsoft Word. Now, as I come down to my data sheet, the things that I'm going to use this for mostly, especially as I am just starting out working with Minitab, I'm going to use my calc. Let me open that and let's look at it. Now, in Statistics 1, we deal a lot with probability distributions. So if you open that up, you'll see probably some things that you have already worked with in class, and then you see a lot of things that you haven't worked with yet. Some of these things don't come until later on in Stats 2 and above. Alright, so we'll use our calc, we'll use our stat. You can get your basic statistics, and if you've been in a class for any length of time, you've already learned how to do this on a TI calculator. You know how to find your mean, your median, your mode, and you'll notice that we have these things here. You can display your statistics, you can store them. Here we have, starting with our z-test and our t's and our pair t's. Now once again, these are some of the things that you've already worked with, and there are some things that you have yet to see. Alright, the third thing that you're probably going to work with most in this is the graph. And you'll notice you've got scatter plot, matrix, bubble, marginal. Here is the big one that we work with in Stats 1 all the time, histogram, which looks a lot like a bar graph. But you've got your dot plot, your stem and leaf plot, and box plot, interval, and on down, bar chart, pie chart. So you can make all of these graphs with your data. And then as I come back to look at the data, let's work through some of the things here that we actually would use in class. Let's take this data and let's find our basic statistics. So we want to, in statistics 1, the things we work with most are going to be our mean and our standard deviation. So let's go over and display our descriptive statistics. Now you'll notice you're given a big box here, so you can have data in several of these columns. The only data we have is in column C1, so I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to come down below the box and select it, and then that's the variable that I'm working with. Now this asks for bivariables optional. I don't have any other variables, so I don't have to worry about putting anything in that box. Now as I go down here, I can do a little exploring. If I open up the statistics, these are all of the many things that I can find out about my data. I definitely want the mean. I definitely want the standard deviation. We've already worked many times with quartiles. You can get your first quartile, your median, your third quartile. Let's go ahead and mark mode, because we've used that quite a bit. And let's be happy with that for right now. Now if I wanted to have a graph, I could mark it here, but I'm going to choose not to do that just yet. We'll come back and look at graphs in a minute, but I could mark it there and it would give me a graph as well as the data. Now I'm going to go down and I'm going to choose OK, and you'll notice here in the output box it tells me that my variables are in C1, so that's correct, column 1. It tells me that I had 42 variables. The mean of these 42 variables is 85.67. I have a standard deviation of 11.88. The minimum value was 43. Q1 was 80.5. The median value is 85.5. Q3 is 95. And if you'll remember now, Q3 corresponds to the 75th percentile. So the 75th or 75% of your data is at or below 95, and then the maximum value that we had was 100. Now we chose to add mode into our statistics, so the one that we had the most made score was an 84, and there were actually 8 people who scored 84 on our first exam. Alright, now then let's go up here to graph, and let's go down to our histogram, which we use a lot here. Now you've got different things that you can choose, different types of histograms. We're going to just go with simple and OK. And once again, we've got to choose where is our data coming from. Well, in ours we only have data in C1, so we're going to highlight C1 and select it. It's going to put it into our graph variables. You've got different things that you can explore here as far as the scale, the labels, the data view, data options, multiple graphs. We don't really need any of that. We just want a plain old histogram. When I choose that, it gives me perfect graph. It tells me that it looks like here I had one, and I do remember that the lowest one was 43. If you look down here at the column, you'll notice the very first data value is 43, and that was the lowest one that we had. Our vertical axis tells us how many. Our horizontal axis gives us the scores, the actual scores. And so you'll see that it looks like from a little more than 80 to a little more than 96 that we have. Those are the ones that were made the most. And it looks like we have 12 values here. But this is a histogram of all of the data values, and if you were going to, this is actually much easier or much better to use than a TI calculator, because you can print this out, and if you were going to do any type of report or anything that you needed to turn in to a teacher, you can print this, you can cut and paste, you can attach it to any type of report, and then you've got a backup to show your teacher that you know what you were doing and that that was actually the output or outcome of your study. Now, I'm not going to choose to save that, but I could, and then I could actually go up to File, and then I can save the worksheet, or I can save the project. And if I do that, then I can come back to it very easily at a later date. I can add to it, or I can take away from it, whatever I want to do. And that is just a general overview of Minitab. If I were you, I'd give it a try. Take just some data points and plug in here, and go ahead and put in data into more than one column. Play with it, see what you can do with your graphs, see what you can do with your statistics, and see what kind of wonderful projects you can come up with. Have fun!